Good morning, everyone. This public hearing is now called to order. Today is Monday, March 16th, 2026, and the time is 10:03 a.m. I'm Elizabeth Mayer, an Assistant General Counsel at the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. Here with us today also are Elizabeth Burke, Director of Building Water Systems Oversight, and Patricia Costa, Policy and Training Coordinator in the Public Health Engineering Program, and Joseph Russo, paralegal in the Office of General Counsel. The purpose of today's hearing is to elicit comments and information to assist the Commissioner in determining whether to adopt a proposal to amend its rules concerning cooling towers, located in Chapter 8 of Title 24 of the Rules of the City of New York. These proposed amendments will update Chapter 8 pursuant to Local Law 159 of 2025. Local Law 159 requires an increase in the frequency of Legionella culture testing inspections of cooling towers to every month during periods when such towers are in use. A notice of intention to amend this chapter was published in the City Record on Thursday, February 12th, 2026. A copy of the first page of the notice of intention will be provided to the stenographer to include in the record. Persons wishing to speak at this hearing were asked to pre-register, and they will have a limit of 3 minutes to speak. If someone else, before I go to our registered speakers, if anyone else at the hearing would like to testify, please indicate so in the chat area by writing your name and affiliation. Okay, so we do have one speaker who registered to speak, and that is Kim Smith. Ms. Smith, it looks like you are here. Are you ready? I will have my colleague unmute you so that you can speak. You're still muted though.
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, my name is Kim Smith, founder of the Harlem Legionnaires Task Force, a task force that is community led as a result of the devastating Harlem 2025 Legionnaires cooling tower outbreak. So my statement is, Dear Commissioner Martin and the leadership of the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, the Harlem community continues to reflect on the profound impact of the 2025 outbreak of Legionnaire's disease that resulted in eight deaths, 90 hospitalizations, and over 100 New Yorkers infected. Beyond the numbers, the outbreak disrupted families, unsettled communities, and underscored the serious consequences of a disease that is both dangerous and preventable. The experience galvanized residents, community leaders, public officials, and health professionals to work collaboratively toward stronger safeguards that protect the health and safety of New Yorkers. In that spirit, the Harlem Legionnaires Task Force commends the leadership of the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene for advancing thoughtful proposed amendments to the city's cooling tower regulations. The proposed updates reflect a responsive and responsible approach to public health oversight and demonstrate the department's commitment to transparency, accountability, and enforcement. Several of the proposed amendments are outstanding, changing ambiguous language from immediate to specific time frames like 24 hours, increasing penalties from $500 to $2,000 for building owners that are not complying with ensuring that buildings and their systems are tested and or cleaned, as well as proposing to have a specific certified New York State laboratory where, the buildings can pull from that specific laboratory list to have their properties tested for the Legionella. The lessons of 2025 have reinforced the importance of vigilance, partnership, and proactive policy. The proposed amendments represent a meaningful step toward ensuring that communities in Harlem and across New York City are better protected from a disease that is entirely preventable. Continued collaboration between policymakers, building operators, community residents will remain essential as we work together to reduce risk, strengthen accountability, and protect the health of all New Yorkers. And in the spirit of collaboration, the task force, we have collected close to 200 signed letters from people in the Harlem community that we will be scanning along with our letter of support to DOHMH, because we really believe it's not a one size fit all, as you guys are aware, but we must work in collaboration at the end of the day to ensure that this preventable disease does not strike again in such a horrific manner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Smith, for your testimony. It's much appreciated. Um, it looks like we don't have anyone else who has asked to speak at this point. So what we're going to do right now, there's still time if people would like to testify. But in the meantime, unless someone puts their name in the chat, we are going to adjourn until 10:55 or until we receive notification that someone else online wishes to testify. So we will stop the recording then, and we will be adjourned with the screen up that describes what's happening at this hearing. Again, if anyone else would like to testify, please feel free to put your name and affiliation into the chat. Okay, thank you very much, and we will come back at 10:55 unless someone else wishes to speak. Ms. Emmers, you can go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like to testify. Also, to the individual with the 929 phone number who has their hand up, if you're someone who would like to testify, if you can put your information into the chat, then we can add you to the conversation.
Am I being heard right now?
Yes, Mr. Lopez, you are. Please feel free to proceed.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to know, well, first off, I'm a little confused about this uh public hearing. It seems like nobody wants to speak. But second, I just wanted to know how did DOH come up with the resolution of determining on having Legionella testing for every cooling tower every 30 days? Like, what scientific evidence do you have that uh that rule would be implemented for the better? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, maybe for the summer months, maybe starting in April or May, having the cooling tower tested every month might be beneficial. But having a cooling tower tested in the winter months every 30 days, it doesn't seem feasible. And I work for a city agency, so I mean, as far as the the budget and the funds, I'm sure we'll get it, even though it would double my budget. But as far as like property owners, co-op boards, condo owners, this is a huge monetary factor for them. I already know that. I've spoken to plenty building engineers. It's also that, and another uh so that's my first question: is what scientific evidence did DOH conjure to put this rule into place? Number two, there's some verbiage in the proposed rules that mention the bacteriological dip slides to be sent to a lab every week. I think that needs to be amended. I'm not sure if I was supposed to do that on the resolution comments email, but I'm okay with the verbiage that's being added just for more clarification, but uh those are my two subject points that I really need some clarification on. And I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. We appreciate your testimony. Just to be clear, this hearing is not meant to be it's not a Q&A session.
Okay.
Um, but I believe that the rule states that the frequency increases to every month during periods when the cooling towers are in use, um, rather than year round. Um,
So
but
what
I appreciate as far as your comments, I think if you have specific questions about the language in the tip slides, if you want to write up um, and submit that, then that will be taken into consideration.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thanks.
Um, Appreciated. Ms. Stoltz, Erin Stoltz, once we get you, let's just get you located and unmuted, and then we can go ahead and have your testimony.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Erin Stoles. I am the president of the New York Metro Region American Industrial Hygiene Association. I just wanted to first, commend the work that you are all doing to advance this updated change to the legislation. We think this is really important and will have really great impact. I did just want to share, a bit about what we do, the AIHA. Our profession, seeks to play a critical role in protecting worker health, advancing environmental stewardship, and making sure we can strengthen the communities in which we live. So we're very, passionate about this work. We hope to provide insight regarding how we think this legislation will be perhaps more functional, practically speaking. And we have had a Legionella subcommittee among our organization that's been working to provide comments on some proposed changes to some of the language that we see here. And so I just wanted to share that we'll be submitting that, later this afternoon on how we think this can really work to enhance the mission of our group, the AHA. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Stoltz. Okay, Mr. Baskin, thank you very much. We'll get you located and unmuted, and then you can provide your testimony.
Hello, my name is Russell Baskin. I'm the president of a commercial water treatment and Legionella compliance firm serving New York City owners. I do support the Department of Health's mission and intent on Local Law 159 to strengthen the Legionella control. My comments are going to focus on some provisions that may benefit from clarification and adjustment to avoid unintended compliance risks while maintaining effective public health protection. I do have some issues with the definition of operation. I respectfully request clarification on how this definition applies to seasonal water residue left in towers that are not running, such as rainwater, so forth. Also, laid up systems internally. There are really important issues why systems should not be dried over the winter months or times of not use. They should be laid up properly, or redundant systems to avoid penalizing conditions that do not materially increase risk, since their towers are completely offline, systems are offline. I also want to make sure for the record that the annual maintenance program and plan clarification is needed as to whether the certification is like a point in time or if it's ongoing reassurance and operational compliance by the owner. Just want to make sure that we look into the verbiage of that more clear. The third point is improper water treatment enforcement. Again, I recommend the department define measurable criteria to cross-reference specific control limits to ensure constant and fair enforcement of this. There are step fines for improper water treatment, and I think that needs to be defined on what that is. Record production requirements, consideration of a short, reasonable cure period would improve fairness without compromising oversight to get those records. There sometimes could be issues with electronic records and maybe a very short cure period. Also have concerns with overburdening of qualified persons. I would recommend possibly another designation, maybe an associate qualified person or a junior qualified person. This person could have the ASSE 12080 designation. This is the certification that focuses on water safety management, particularly in preventing Legionella and waterborne pathogens, as it is essential for professionals involved with building water systems. And what constitutes a change in requiring recertification mid-year? So there's a point in there about mid-year recert. I have no idea what constitutes doing that. My last 2 points, really quick. I'm concerned on the rationale for testing over 10,000, which triggers manual disinfection monitoring 3 times a day. Maybe it should be something similar to hourly during disinfection or something when the product is being added. And then the last point I want to make sure we make is that the new obligations require extra notification to the DOH, notifying within 5 days of startup, shutdown, operational period, and the first Legionella sample after startup. These new obligations could cause a burden on the ownership or force them to have a third party handle these notifications for them. A missed notification equals a violation, even if health risk is controlled. That is all I'd like to say for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baskin. Just as a reminder to anyone who may have joined us late, if you are interested in testifying at this hearing, please put your name and your affiliation into the chat, and we will add you to the roster and you will be able to testify. Just as a reminder, since at this point no one wishes to speak, we're going to be adjourned until 10:55. Thanks.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having this hearing. I just wanted to comment on two things that I think may help with clarifying and implementation. It looks as though the burden for notifying the health department of results that are on level 4 of table 8.1 are on the building ownership and management. There are many diseases and conditions that labs provide automatic reporting to health departments. And I'm wondering if it could be explored that the lab results, when they're above a certain level, get automatically reported by the labs to the health departments to expedite things and to take the passing, the phone tree effect out of it. And then I also would love to see some more clarification in the rules and regulations about when residents of a building with high levels are notified and how they are notified. I think now it's pursuant to direction of the health department, and perhaps some more standardization and guidance on that could be added. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Green. Thank you everyone for joining us. Just as a reminder, we are, unless there's anyone else who wishes to speak, we're going to be adjourned until 10:55, at which point we will return. Okay, if you do wish to speak, please put your name and affiliation into the chat and we will get you set up to testify. Thanks so much. Hello, everyone. We're back on the record, and it's now 10:53 a.m. Just as a reminder, and especially for those who joined us late, I'm Elizabeth Mayer, an Assistant General Counsel at the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. And I am joined here today by several of my colleagues from the department. Elizabeth Burke, Director of Building Water Systems Oversight, Patricia Costa, Policy and Training Coordinator in the Public Health Engineering Program, and Joseph Russo, a paralegal in the Office of General Counsel. If anyone else would like to testify, please let us know by writing your name and affiliation in the chat, or you can raise your hand and we will unmute you to let you speak. So we're going to leave the floor open for a few more minutes for anyone who may wish to comment. Miss Hi, Mr. Mr. Saiti, would you like to testify? If so, we can take you off mute and you can provide your testimony. Okay. Hello, everyone. We're back on the record now. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. Thank you so much to everyone who testified. We appreciate your feedback. If you attended the meeting and did not provide testimony but would like to make would like to comment on the proposed rules, please feel free to submit written comments. All of your written comments must be received by 5 p.m. today. You can send them to the email address on the screen, resolutioncomments@health.nyc.gov, or you can submit them on the Rules for the City of New York website. There being no persons remaining who wish to speak, this hearing is now concluded. Thank you again for joining us today.